Good afternoon, everyone. Akkadian Empire fall. We're looking at the orange arrow about 4,200 years ago. Abrupt, stark climate change encompassing this entire area of the Middle East. Evidence in E.S.T, stretching all the way down to Kilimanjaro, and it was a sudden onset. So when we see our jet streams behaving like this because of the intensification of the grand solar minimum, perhaps we should look at the past to see what could happen for the future and then make plans for that. And during these uncertain times, I've teamed up with my Patriot Supply long-term food storage, a nice affordable starter kit, 2-week food supply, 1,500 calories per day, breakfast, lunch, and dinners, plus the 4-gallon storage containers included in that. This is a good first step in getting more self-sufficient. And if you click through the Prepare with Adapt 2030 page in My Patriot Supply, you can get this starter kit for $75. Please remember there's a limit of 2 per household in this special offer. And as we begin to look through history here, Sumerians, we're going to look at the timeline. Akkadians, second down. Notice the 400-year run in their civilization, their empire. Then we have the Babylonians and the Assyrians. 400 years, where have I seen that before? Oh, that's the duration and onset of a grand solar minimum between cycles. So we're taking a look at stalactites here, solving the mystery of the Akkadian Empire fall, termed a widespread climatic event. Akkadians, Amorites, 2300 BC, and suddenly, 1900 BC, they're not able to defend themselves, loss of food production. And what's most interesting is it comes into the cosmology and culture of the Enuma Elish. And also, it's only one story about Sargon from this entire era of history. You see the same iconography again, and again. Why is there so little about this time frame? Was it such a climatic event that it erased everything literally that was there? Now, it wasn't a single onset at 4,200 years ago. 5,200 years ago began, and then it culminated. And they're pegging it at 4,500 to 4,200 years ago. Drier conditions pervaded from the west. So how far back is that in time, really? I included the orange arrow there so you can see the steep drop in temperature globally. And when you look overall at the GISP2 ice core, temperatures set over the last 10,000 years, we're far on the right. It was warmer several times in the past than it is today. So that CO2 argument for me, when I look at charts like this, it just doesn't stand up to scrutiny. Now, the premise of the research is based on the ceilings of caves. When the stalactites form, that's formed because of precipitation on the surface of the earth seeping through. And just like tree rings, they start to grow and grow and grow. And as they look through these slices of the stalactite, they noticed a steep drop-off in what was a continuous growth curve. This is the dry that you're seeing that they've pegged back to this exact time frame. Now take a look how widespread this is. And if this were to reoccur today, how much would that be affected in the dryness, but in the periphery areas as well? If it's a sudden onset, as they talk about, the increase in dust and dryness all through Mesopotamia, even down into Iran, catastrophic droughts. Now that's a huge difference than a major drought. A catastrophic drought that lasts for 1,000 years. So taking a look at the timeline here of the collapse of these prior civilizations, it wasn't actually at the apex of it, it was the entry into the onset and the amplification of these same events. It wasn't when they were at the top and they said, oh, we're getting thirsty and we can't grow plants now. No, it was the onset, just like we're seeing right now with the grand solar minimum intensification. They talk about it suddenly onsetting. And from Kilimanjaro ice core records, also indicating the same drop in precipitation, we see 3 periods of abrupt climate change. 8,300 years ago, 5,200 years ago, and then it says 4,000 years. I'm going to say that's the same event at 4,200. This is occurring routinely through our past, but nobody wants to talk about it. That we're coming into another abrupt climate change due to the grand solar minimum. And I like the last sentence here. Kilimanjaro's ice fields have decreased 80%, and if the current trend continues, they should be ice-free by 2015 to 2020. We're in 2019, and there was an enormous amount of snow, the most snow they had in decades up there last year. That's an entirely different story itself, which I did a video earlier. I'll link at the end of the video, and also in the description box, you can go right to the Glacier Studies program. Now, when they talked about abrupt climate change, they're looking at this. The jet streams are going out of flow due to a decreasing magnetosphere as the intensification of the grand solar minimum continues forward. This is exactly what you're going to expect. Extreme heat and extreme cold on one side. Nothing's in its flow anymore. That's the reason when you see this extreme cold Arctic vortex going to push down through Cuba and down into the Caribbean. And then we also have this heat that's up in Canada that's ridiculous. This should be 500 to 1,000 miles at the minimum further south. And these jet streams are being mixed up. So when you say it's hot where I'm at and we're not getting any winter at all, it's really unusual. We're waiting for the grand solar minimum. You're in it. This is what you're expecting. These shifts in the jet stream is exactly this. So looking through the climate information today across the net, I jumped over to West Asia. Take a look over China, some cyclonic spinning there. Taiwan highlighted in the yellow. You can see it in the cloud layer maps. It's something interesting. Even on null school, the wind looks unusual over there, sort of like an eye. Thanks for watching. Hope you got something out of the video. You can check out content like this, 30 minutes at a go. Many Ice Age conversations anywhere, podcast or hosted across the net.